What's up, everybody? This is Jay, and this video is about Autopsy, the last hours of Natalie Cole. Now, Autopsy is a show that comes on the cable network Reelz, and in this show, they take different celebrities and they break down their final hours leading up to and including their death, and also they take a look at their total life history, and it's really interesting. Now, if you're new to my Autopsy breakdowns, there won't be any disturbing images or graphics or anything like that. There may be some pictures from the reenactments, but again, nothing disturbing, and it does do a deep dive into the person's life. Now, if you're new to my channel, please subscribe, bang that bell so you're notified of all my new videos. Sit back and enjoy the last hours of Natalie Cole, Autopsy. Now, Natalie Cole was born in 1950 and died in 2015 at the age of 65 on New Year's Eve. She was the daughter of legendary singer Nat King Cole. She sold almost 30 million records worldwide and had a 25-year career herself. She won 9 Grammys, but unfortunately, along the road, she did have drug issues, and it later became a health problem for her. She died in the hospital with her son at age 65 on New Year's Eve. Now, 6 months before she died, she was performing huge concerts. She had a packed lineup of shows scheduled before she died, and it's really interesting what happened, why the rapid decline. Now, the Autopsy show is broken down with the medical information by Dr. Michael Hunter, who is a forensic pathologist, okay? And he has over 20 years in the business and over 4,000 autopsies. And so what he does is he reviews the person's history, the autopsy information, and their medical records. Now, on August 29th, 2015, in the Hamptons in Long Island, just 4 months before her death, she was headlining an Act for Cancer. She was still keeping up with her charity work, and even though she had a net worth of around $5 million, performing was still something she regularly did. Now, tonight, for some reason, the audience was kept waiting, and she appeared to come on stage and was disoriented and confused. The audience had been kept waiting for about an hour. They said that the performance wasn't that good, that she was very thin, very frail, and Dr. Hunter thinks that it may be something else to do with that. He said that before that event, she was in Southeast Asia on a tour. And Dr. Hunter says that Westerners sometimes get sick when they travel to Asia, and it's called traveler's diarrhea. Now, it's caused by parasites, bacteria, or viruses. The symptoms can be stomach cramps, vomiting, and even fever. Dr. Hunter believes that it could account for her frail appearance. 10 days before the charity event, she came home and she was in a wheelchair at the airport when she returned from that tour. Just came from Manila, and it was a week-long tour. And when the cameraman was asking how she was doing, she said that she was just tired. They brushed it off to fatigue, and that it had been a 16-hour trip. Now, Dr. Hunter said that would only play a small part, the fatigue and the trip. He said that there were no records of any tropical disease, though. And going back to Natalie King Cole's history, she was born in L.A., February 6, 1950. Her mom was the backup singer Maria Hawkins' dad, legendary singer Nat King Cole. She grew up in the exclusive Hancock Park district, and they were the first blacks to move in that area. She described her family as like the Black Kennedys. She had a hard time living in her father's shadow, and Nat King Cole died of lung cancer when she was just 15 years old. It was a crushing blow, and she had a troubled relationship with her mom. She studied to be a nurse for a little while, but she just never could resist performing. In college, against her mother's wishes, she began singing in local clubs and bars. She was billed as the daughter of Nat King Cole, to her dismay. She began to sing a different style of music than her dad, though, in order to set herself apart. R&B, pop, but no jazz. In 1975, was her first hit. This will be an everlasting love. How you like that? Anyway, she later won 2 Grammys and Best New Artist for that. In 1978, she was the first female artist to have back-to-back platinum albums. Unforgettable with Love was her move to her jazz roots. The groundbreaking virtual duet with her father sold 7 million in the U.S. alone. She won the Grammy for Best Record, and on August 29, 2015, just 4 months before her death, after her 5-song set, a friend suggested that she see a doctor, and she agreed. According to reports, she said she was having trouble with her immune system and trouble eating. Her bad health predated the tour, though. According to Peabo Bryson, he said she looked ill to him. The last time that they worked together was in 2015. He said he told her, "She don't look good. Are you eating?" And she told him that she had a hard time keeping it down was the issue. Dr. Hunter believes, based off of the symptoms, that she may have had chronic gastritis. Chronic gastritis occurs when the stomach lining becomes inflamed. It causes pain and even weight loss. It can be triggered by problems with the immune system. The right treatment and diet should result in full recovery, though. He thinks another problem from her past could be contributing to her ill health. Back in the day, it's no secret, Natalie Cole had a massive cocaine habit. I mean, she enjoyed her booger sugar. Okay. Now, did that come back to haunt her, though? Now, in October 2015, in Cedars-Sinai Hospital in Los Angeles, 3 months before her death, her health began to deteriorate even further. She was forced to cancel concerts, including this major New Year's Eve concert at Disney Hall that she had scheduled. Dr. Hunter thinks that the history of drug abuse could have come back to haunt her, but that there was no evidence of it. Her history of drug use began when she was a senior in college at the University of Massachusetts in 1972. She was exposed to Black Power and Flower Power at the same time for the first time. This first time being exposed to people like her who didn't have it so easy was a shocking blow. Remember, she came from a very privileged background. They were the Black Kennedys. But being exposed to this side of life ended up turning her down a dark path. When her friend David Nathan met her in the summer of 1975, she was a full-blown addict. Cocaine was prevalent in her life. Even Peabo Bryson noticed while collaborating on the album in the 70s. He said that she would leave out every 20 minutes and would come back all jolly. He said it don't take a rocket scientist to figure out something going on. Now, Natalie, she used to cocaine, but then she graduated to freebasing cocaine. And a lot of people freebase cocaine is crack cocaine. Now, she had freebase cocaine so much that her inner circle and people had the nickname for her, the Base Queen. Freebase is when you free the base cocaine molecules from the salt so that it can be inhaled. The dense white vapor is inhaled through the lungs and instantly enters the bloodstream, creating a more intense euphoria for the user. Long-term cocaine use leads to heart disease known as cardiomyopathy. when the walls of the heart chamber become stretched, thickened, or stiff. It affects the heart's ability to pump blood around the body, and it can even lead to seizures, stroke, and/or heart attack. In 1978, her friend and journalist David Nathan said when he saw her, her drug use was starting to take a major toll on her body. In the green room after a show, he says she was bone skinny and had bad body odor and was nearly unrecognizable. He said that he was shocked when he saw her because he didn't even recognize her. Peebo Bryson says that she suffered from lack of confidence. In 1982, Fran says that she finally hit rock bottom and not crack rock bottom. Peebo says he was shocked at her when he saw her. He said that she was really thin, and in 1984, she finally entered rehab. She recalls the exact moment when she turned her life around. Now, Dr. Hunter says some symptoms of long-term use is significant weight loss. He also says, though, that even though she had that significant weight loss, there was no evidence of relapse. Now, she may have suffered long-term damage from her use, and in November 2015 in the hospital, just 2 months before her death. At this point, she was already in the hospital for a month, and she had what was called a stent procedure. Now, a stent procedure is a minor surgery where you insert a stent or wire mesh tube to treat weak or narrowing arteries. Now, back in 2008, she was diagnosed with a life-threatening illness. In February 2008 in LA, in the studio recording for the Still Unforgettable album, her phone rang and her doctor called. Her assistant gave her the phone. 2 years later, she revealed what was said on the phone. Her doctor told her that he was concerned about some numbers and wanted her to see a nephrologist, or what she later said was a kidney guy. And then he wanted her to see a liver guy. And then she says that weeks later, she visited the liver doctor, Graham Wolf, to get the results from the test. Her close friends, Benita Johnson and Tamara Engelstein, was with her when she went to get those results, and Dr. Wolf told her that she had hepatitis C. Now, hepatitis C is a blood-borne virus that involves the liver. It can be passed on by blood transfusions, tattoos, and sharing of needles. In 1999, she admitted to dating a guy who was a heroin addict. She said she didn't know that he was a heroin addict until one day he was hanging out with a bunch of guys and she saw them sticking needles in their arms. She said that instead of just leaving, she was like, "Ooh, what's that? I want to see. Let me try." That day was her first day snorting heroin, and after 6 months, she said she was addicted. In 1975 in Harlem, Natalie is in the drug den shooting up. She overdosed several times during this time in her life. Once, she narrowly escaped death thanks to another user who injected her with a saline solution when they sensed that she had overdosed. She shared needles back in the day, and she got it in the 70s. Hepatitis C can lay dormant in your body for decades. She lived with hepatitis C for over 20 years before getting any treatment. Often there's no symptoms until the liver is already damaged. In an interview in 2010 on the Today Show, she said she was in great health and worked out for like the last 10 years and had no symptoms. Dr. Hunter says by not taking meds for the virus, she was in danger of developing cirrhosis. Cirrhosis is where scar tissue replaces normal healthy tissue, eventually preventing it from being able to function, and it's irreversible and lethal. She had been living with it for 3 decades without knowing. Dr. Hunter said that she had needed some chemo and interfering. Now, She said that she asked her doctor if she didn't do it, what would happen, because it's been like 25 years. And he said eventually you'll get really sick, and it wasn't a pleasant diagnosis for her, so she decided to start the treatment. Now, Dr. Hunter says that treatment takes one injection, and it's one injection a week for up to 48 weeks. Interferon is a protein naturally produced by the human body. It's released in great amounts when you're fighting a virus. For some unknown reason, a virus in your liver is often invisible to the immune system. The treatment helps the body distinguish between infected cells and non-infected cells, so the body can target and destroy the infected cells. The treatment can cause symptoms of fever, achy muscles, and fatigue. It's called the antiviral effect. Her brother Kelly had the same treatment before he died of AIDS in 1995, and so she was well aware of the symptoms that come with it. By the spring of 2008, her liver was in advanced stages of deterioration. She had no choice but to start chemo. June 2008, at the Blue Note Jazz Club in Tokyo, Japan, in the dressing room, she was sick from chemo. She explained that she went against her family wishes while on chemo, and that she had lost 25 pounds and was so weak that she had to be in the wheelchair. She said she was sick every day for like 7 months. It was hard to get through 14 shows in a wheelchair, and somehow she managed to get through 10. Peebo Bryson said it's a grueling 2-show a night a day situation, and it take a lot out of you. You barely got enough to get something to eat and go to sleep. She said that she had people wheel her on stage in order to get through it. Dr. Hunter said the interferon dealt a major blow to her body. In November 2015, in the hospital, just 2 months before her death, doctors say that she was retaining bodily fluid in her lungs. The pressure was causing pain in her body. She suffered from focal segmental glomerular sclerosis, or FSGS. FSGS is a chronic kidney disorder, and the small fibers in the kidney become scarred and can no longer detox your blood. The damage appears to be from the interferon treatment. She had to be put on dialysis in order to stay alive. Now, dialysis is when a machine cleans the toxins in your blood through a catheter in your chest. Usually it takes around 3 hours, and you have to do it 3 times a week. Now, David Nathan says that it took its toll on her, and when he saw her in London in 2009, she was really weak. Now, Dr. Hunter says that within a year of her starting dialysis, she received a double kidney transplant. Now, she no longer needed dialysis thanks to the double kidney transplant, but a whole nother set of risks now came into play. She appeared to be doing better though, and the kidney transplant surgeries normally have a high success rate, and the average lifespan of the organ is 12 years. Now, when you have a transplant, you have to take immunosuppressant drugs the rest of your life. The immunosuppressant drugs are needed to stop your body's antibodies from attacking the new organ and killing it. The drawback is they also suppress your antibodies that fight off infections. So, that kidney transplant was in May of 2009. It was very unlikely that the kidney failed so soon, but the use of the immunosuppressant drugs put her immune system at risk to further getting an infection. In December of 2015, in the hospital, just 3 weeks before her death, she was suffering from breathing difficulties. Now, according to friends, she had problems breathing for over a year at this point. The summer of 2014, her friend said that she looked so sick and that her performance wasn't that good, and between songs, she would go off the stage to get oxygen. Dr. Hunter says that shortness of breath can affect your kidney transplant patient and is usually the result of an infection. Now, in February 10th, in 1981, in the Vegas Hilton, it was a fire on the 8th floor. Natalie was told by staff to remain in her 24th floor suite. Now, at 8:45, she was told to evacuate immediately. People were trapped inside the building. It was crazy. Her and her bodyguard tried to escape, but they were beat back into their room by smoke and decided to stay in the room and wait for help. 8 people died and over 200 people were injured from smoke inhalation from the incident. Smoke inhalation causes damage by asphyxiation, or therefore lack of oxygen. 2 agents in smoke that cause the damage is 1, carbon monoxide gas, and the second are the fine particles in the air. The fine particles can reach the lungs when inhaled, and it can cause respiratory irritation and shortness of breath. Although the doctors gave her the all clear after the incident, Dr. Hunter believes it's possible there was some injury to her lungs that went undetected. In December 25th of 2015, 6 days before her death, she spent Christmas with her family and told everyone how much she loved and cared for them. But a few days before the new year, her condition began to spiral out of control. Death certificate reveals that cardiogenic septic shock was to blame. Dr. Hunter says that the septic part tells him she probably got that infection in the hospital. Now, it did cause her body to go into shock. Her heart suddenly stopped pumping blood around her body and was caused by inadequate circulation of blood as the heart fails to pump blood effectively and the blood pressure drops to dangerous low levels. She went into cardiac arrest. The team restarted her heart though, but it was in a weak state. December 31st, 2015 at 9:26, her heart fails again. News of her death breaks the following day. Dr. Hunter believes her kidney transplant played a big part in all of this. The immunosuppressant drugs put her at high risk for infection. He believes the true reason for her death was severe pulmonary arterial hypertension that she was diagnosed with back in 2010. PAH is a rare lung disease that affects the pulmonary arteries that carry blood from the heart to the lungs to pick up oxygen. The arteries narrow, restricting blood flow and put severe strain on your heart. The body can't get the oxygen it needs and causes fatigue and shortness of breath. There is no cure for PAH, and the average lifespan is around 5 years. She was diagnosed in 2010 and died in 2015. But with meds and surgery, it can be extended several more years than the 5. Now, Natalie had responded well to meds, but she didn't rest enough and even continued to perform in the Far East, even 6 months before her death. Her work ethic worked against her and put her in danger. They have video of her performance in the Philippines. She needed help to walk out and sit down to sing. She was in a wheelchair when she returned home in the airport, and a year after her transplant, PAH is a progressive disease and everyday tasks become impossible and harder to complete. Dr. Hunter believes that eventually her blocked pulmonary arteries caused heart failure. The right ventricle couldn't pump enough blood through the lungs. Fluid accumulated around her vital organs. When infection triggered her terminal shock, her heart quickly failed. She went into cardiopulmonary arrest. Blood flow to her vital organs ceased. Dr. Hunter says it's a complex case. She went through a lot, and her 3 years of intravenous drug use caused her to develop FSGS and kidney failure, as well as hepatitis. PAH, a rare lung disease, is what Dr. Hunter believes ultimately killed her. She had transcended music genres from R&B, soul to jazz. She was beloved by millions. She was able to overcome all her demons, but in the end, her past came back to haunt her. When Natalie Cole died, her service was at the West Angeles Church of God in Christ in LA. She had a lot of celebrities there, of course. Everybody from old Jesse Jackson to Stevie Wonder, Smokey Robinson, and more. It's really unfortunate and a sad situation of what happened with Natalie Cole. She was very talented, but it shows that a lot of times the biggest problems that we have is ourselves. And she, like one of the things that I'm noticing in my Autopsy series, one of the current themes is that people take their health for granted. They work, and they don't take enough time to stop and smell the roses. Take time to take care of yourself. There's nothing more important than your health. And when you have enough money to be comfortable, be comfortable. And it's unfortunate that that's what happened with her. Had she have rested, maybe her life could have been extended a few more years. In the end, the hepatitis, the PAH, and all the other things would have eventually came for her, but she could have probably lived a more comfortable life and extended her years had she taken better care of her body. So, my message to everyone, including myself, is don't take your health for granted. You only have one body. Make the most of it. Get some rest. And don't forget to stop and smell the roses every now and then. Don't work yourself to death. Now, before we get out of here, I want to thank you for watching. If you're new to my channel, please subscribe. Don't forget, I got a membership area where I'm giving early access and other different content. And also check me out on Patreon. I appreciate all your support. I got a few different videos there and access to things. I got my life drama video series there. Check it out. It's exclusively for Patreon and member only videos. But with that being said, thanks for watching. Take care of yourself. God bless. And I'm out of here. Peace.